Hello there. I'm Dr. Kyle Brandon Jackson, and I have a PhD in political studies. My area of specialization consists of queer politics, specifically queer citizenship, so looking at inclusion and exclusion in Canada, in the Caribbean, and in the transnational relationships between Canada and particular Caribbean nation states. Mainly, I focus on Canada, Jamaica, and looking at queer citizenship, so LGBTQI2S rights in Canada, in Jamaica, and then also looking at how queer rights discursively and ideologically mediate the relationships between Canada and Jamaica. So the ways in which nations think about themselves and construct themselves when it comes to being queer friendly or quote unquote homophobic. And I try to look at these things and problematize these things in an intersectional feminist, transnational feminist, and critical race fashion. So I draw a lot on queer of color critique, even as I also draw on institutionalist approaches to the study of LGBTQI2S rights. I look at things in a Gramscian frame, and indeed my work on Canada and Jamaica coins a new term, homo hegemony, to describe queer politics in Canada, as well as the ways in which Canada ideologically constructs and singles out other nation states as quote unquote homophobic others, as a way of solidifying its newly hegemonic identity as gay friendly. And we know that these discourses elide and actually actively invisibilize more complicated relationships and dynamics of queer inclusion and exclusion in terms of ongoing queer exclusions in Canada, in terms of spaces of gay friendliness in countries like Jamaica that often go unrecognized, and resistance in the Jamaican nation state, particularly in societal spaces, but also in terms of legal challenges in the Jamaican nation state that go unrecognized. So it's LGBTQI2S rights, but also ideas about these rights. And that's what we really need to start looking at in Canada, in the Caribbean, and in transnational relationships between Canada and between Canada and particular Caribbean nation states. I am going to be moving on and looking at, I've actually already started to plan this, a research project that looks at queering Haiti in the context of underdevelopment, brutal colonial legacy, as well as neo-colonialism today in a neoliberal global north-south context, and looking at that as well as queer Haitian Canadians in the diaspora in the province of Quebec, in Montreal specifically. Je parle aussi français, and some of the interviews will be conducted in French, and then I will translate them to English. But basically, queering Haiti, queering development, right? So looking at development challenges in a neo-colonial context, and you can't look at queer rights in Haiti as separate from that. We can't look at queer rights in Haiti as separate from anti-Black racism. So taking a transnational feminist critical race perspective and approach to these issues. So queering Haiti and queering the Haitian diaspora is something that I am moving forward on, and it could still go in different directions depending on where I end up. I'm applying to jobs all over North America, all the way from Newfoundland to Florida. And so I'm excited to land a permanent job where I can continue this important research of asking intersectional and transnational questions about queerness in the same way in which the third wave of feminism, but also much earlier, right, throughout the first wave, throughout the second wave, but in a more central way in the third wave, the way in which third wave feminism has asked these types of intersectional and transnational questions about women. so too do we need to ask these questions about queer folks, including queer women. Little introduction to me and to what I do. And I was wanting to post this because the last video I posted was a little too formal. I was like reading, and I wanted to just talk about it off the top of my head. So yeah, feel free to email me if you have any questions. But I look forward to continuing this work in a department near you.